Oh man, I think this is the worst they have done to a philosopher. Holy shit. From blaming Nietzsche for the Holocaust to Schopenhauer for the incel shootings, Confucius arguably has the worst shit attributed to his name. Throughout history, many Asian tyrants have used Confucian teachings to basically justify their own tyrannies. And I'd just like to make a video explaining why that's fucking bullshit. Cause you see, my homie Confucius was actually chill as hell. Okay? He believed in living minimally, achieving inner peace, and famously said, "We all live two lives. The second begins when we realize we only have one." Okay, this guy was about purposeful, peaceful living. Okay, real Zen type shit. Alright? And okay, if we read Nisbet's Geography of Thought, or just observe culture, I guess, like you don't have to be a fucking bookworm, okay? We can reasonably conclude that there is some kind of Western Asian difference, kind of. Although, if you actually read the book, you'll know there's also a lot of okay, whatever. In Asia, obligations are respected a lot. People are not people. They are in fact relationships first. Think about the 5 interpersonal relationship hierarchy. Asia, there is generally a greater emphasis on collectivism. Okay, this does not mean fucking communism. Think in a personal and communal sense. Think you put your community before yourself, not in a fucking economical sense, okay? The ideal life for Asians was living quietly on a farm, carrying out his duties, and not really encountering anyone with a different worldview, not really debating anyone, and not really having an extreme hedonistic desire to quote-unquote get to the top or whatever. Basically, Asia was farms, and Greece was the hunter-gatherer, ship-type merchant motherfuckers, right? And this is the dichotomy drawn in Geography of Thought. Now when we look at Asian countries today, well, we basically see flavors of fascism, okay? Authoritarianism at best, and fascism on a normal day. And at worst, well, we just see horrible shit, right? We see mass industrialization in all Asian societies today. Japan, China, Singapore, South Korea, right? You serve the company, you do your job, and you die. This is your duty, right? Earlier, it was to your family, to your ruler kind of stuff, but notice how this is very different from the values and the family values from the interpersonal relationships Confucius spoke about. Confucius spoke about duty. And yes, he mentioned a ruler, but this was duty in the form of virtue. It was like your ruler was like, he himself had duty. There was a certain amount of virtue there. Okay, I'm not trying to praise dynasties back then, but the point is rulers back then were not corporate tycoon bosses chasing profits, right? There's a difference, okay? They usually led with some kind of virtue. And again, not endorsing them, but I'm simply drawing a difference. There's a difference between the ruler of a dynasty who has fought in many battles and Bill Gates, okay? There's a big difference between the two. Their characters are very different and they should not be equated. Now, I'm not a Confucius expert, but I have read enough to know that this authoritarian sentiment is not what he advocated for. And every time Asian leaders got criticized in the past, they often bought up Confucius's name. They say, "Oh, no. We are Asians. We do things differently. You Westerners will not understand." And they use this to basically justify tyrannies. Think crushing unions, oppressing worker rights, oppressing freedom of press, shit like that. And again, like I said, Confucius said, we all live two lives. The second begins when we realize we only have one. If Confucius saw modern day Samsung factories and how the modern Asian lived, the work conditions, the dropping birth rates, the strict obedience to corporations, and rulers with their own selfish agendas, this is your corporate CEOs, usually profits or some kind of expansionism, he would be very disappointed. Like I said, Confucius was a chill homie. He liked living quietly, in nature, living a peaceful, rather minimalist life. Inner peace, okay? Inner fucking peace, right?
Inner peace.
And again, there are many instances in history where Asian leaders, quote unquote, I say leaders, quote unquote, because they were not really leaders, if we're being honest. It's a very weak use of the word. They used his teachings to justify their extremely oppressive hierarchies and extremely skewed distributions of wealth and power in their own favor. The industrial Asia, China, Singapore, South Korea, North Korea even, Japan, is not at all what Confucius wanted. Stalin was not a fucking Confucianist. Not sure if that's a word, but you get the point. Stalin was not a follower of Confucius, and neither is... Okay, I'm not going to say that, but you kind of get who I'm... Stop bastardizing my homie Confucius. He was a chill N-word. Thanks for watching.